Hello, I'm Leanne.K and welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another video. So for today's video, I'm going to be doing a Q&A on pregnancy, motherhood and labour. I hope you enjoy it. If you do, don't forget to like, subscribe and hit that notification bell to see more. But for now, let's get into it. So as I said, today's going to be a little questionnaire. I went on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and asked you all to ask me a load of questions that you would like to know. All about motherhood, pregnancy, labour, giving birth, all these kind of things. Put them all into one and answer all these questions for you. So I hope that you enjoy it. This is something I've wanted to do for a while actually, and I think it's a really good topic, especially if there's anybody out there that is wanting to have a baby, like trying for a baby at the minute. Maybe they want to know some answers to some questions that they don't actually really know. Before I became pregnant with Layla, I was looking at questions and always looking at things like this and finding out different bits of information. Now, I know that before I start, everybody's different, you know, and nobody will have the same labour or the same pregnancy or the same experiences with motherhood that other people do, but this is just my answers, my way, and yeah, let's get into it. I hope you enjoy it. I've really enjoyed the questions actually that have been asked as well, so I hope that you do. The first question is a really good question actually. I'm so glad that somebody has asked me this one. Did you feel pressure to breastfeed, take the drugs during pregnancy and also have a natural birth? And I think that is such a good question and it's something a lot of people think about. For me, with breastfeeding, already that wasn't a question for me. Like, I didn't want to breastfeed at all. I always knew, before we even knew I was having a baby, that I always knew that I wouldn't want to breastfeed. I don't know why, but for me it just doesn't feel right. Although in the hospital they did say to me, do you want to give it a go? I never felt pressured to have to do it because, you know, at the end of the day it was my decision and I just knew that I wasn't going to breastfeed anyway. So no, I think in that way I didn't feel pressured at all with that one. To do with like the drugs during labour, so like the epidural and the gas and air, things like that, again, I never felt pressured. It was in my own time. I know that I went quite a while without even having any pain relief, and the first pain relief that I did have was gas and air. Now, for me, the gas and air didn't do anything apart from make me hysterically laugh. I have mentioned this before. I had an epidural. I've heard a lot of people mention about epidurals before. No pressure. I would say if anybody's wanted to have an epidural and you have no worries about taking injections or anything like that, do it. Because, you know, it really helped me. I know some people it doesn't help, but for me it really did help, and I definitely couldn't have got through that without that epidural in the end. I also had some pethidine, but the pethidine didn't work. It just made me throw up, but I still felt the pain. But yeah, again, I didn't really feel pressure to do either of those. And also with a natural birth, at the end of the day, it is what it is. Like, your labour will turn out however it turns out. You know, somebody can't pressure you just because they think you should have a natural birth or you should have a C-section. I ended up having an emergency C-section, so I didn't know that was going to happen. So yeah, it's just one of them things. So no, I don't think I did feel pressured in any of those. It's just is what it is at the end of the day. So yeah, I hope that helps. Next question. Here we go. So this is the question I've been most looking forward to reading out, because a particular person watching this will very much enjoy this question. And the question came from her, and it is, is it true that a lot of women poo during labour? I think it is, yeah. Now, you know, obviously I didn't get to that stage, so I don't know, but I know a lot of my friends have told me that it did happen to them during labour. You know, it's nothing to be ashamed about. It happens. If it does happen, don't worry about it. Midwives have been doing this for years and years. They wouldn't be there if they hadn't, and they would have seen plenty more things than a woman pooing during pregnancy, so I really wouldn't worry about it. But yeah, it can happen. It's just because when baby's coming down, all it is baby is pushing towards the bowels, like you've got your placenta and everything, but it's actually pushing and obviously squeezing through that gap, and it's pushing your bowels, and that's all that's happening, is it's pushing that poo out. So yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about that one if it does happen anyway, but whether it happens to you or not, I don't know. Next question. Oh, okay, here we go. So the next question is combined. So it is the best thing about parenthood and the most challenging thing about parenthood. So for me, the best thing probably about parenthood is seeing them grow and seeing them develop, and also having that forever little best friend. Like, I know sometimes I'm a bit like, you know, she follows me everywhere, but there is always that one where if you need a cuddle, can I have a cuddle? And they give you a cuddle. So it's nice to have that little best friend there with you as well. So that's probably one of my favourite things about it. Another thing is obviously watching their milestones, you know, seeing them develop into the little human being that they are. You know, watching them talk, watching them walk, and all things like that. So I think that is really, really nice, and you know, just being a parent is just amazing. The most challenging thing would be, let me think. So I think you're always worrying as a parent, so that's quite challenging. You know, if you hear a noise and you're out the room, it's like, what's that? What's just happened? So that's probably, you know, one of the challenging things. And also as well, sometimes you just don't get that time. I mean, once that child is there, and that child does not go away. Especially when you're trying to cook tea and she's clinging to your legs. That's one challenging thing. You know, like I said, it is amazing that they are there and that, you know, it's a privilege that you've got that child, but the challenging moments can be very challenging, especially when they don't want to do anything you want them to do and it's all their way or no way. When they get a little bit older, the tantrums, you know, we have a 2-year-old at the minute, and those tantrums at the minute, yeah, they are full swing right now, especially when she asks for a biscuit and you go, no, your tea's coming in half an hour. And she's like, go with a biscuit! And she goes absolutely crazy about having biscuits, but you just have to stick to your guns. And sometimes you're that fed up, you're like, okay, have a biscuit, go away. But that's the way it is, you know. We've got a little girl and it's not all fairies and princess dresses. It also is snot, tears, anger and shouting and crying. So unless you literally are a superwoman or a superman, superhero, super parent, you know, everyone's going to have those moments. So yeah, I think that's probably the worst bit, is the tantrums and constant worrying all the time. Next question. I forgot where I was and I got a bit too much into that one then. Did you know you were pregnant before you found out? That's a really good question. I'd actually started to feel it. I went for a walk with my friend Claire the one day, and a couple of days before this I kept saying to Gav, I'm really hungry, but when it came to eating my food, like I just didn't want to eat that food. It was in front of me and I was like, oh, like I'm so hungry, but the thought of actually eating it was like, nope, I can't do it. And then one day I went for a walk with my friend Claire and I think we ordered some chips from like the cafe we was walking by, and I said to her, I said, I can't eat these chips. I said, I'm so hungry, but I just can't eat them. And that for me, like, really clicked in my head. Also, as well, I started to get really bad acid reflux. I actually still suffer with that now. I'm on tablets for that every single day. I have to take a tablet every day, and yeah, omeprazole. And I think that's another reason I knew I was pregnant, because I was getting really bad acid. So yeah, I think I kind of did realise. Also, I do suffer with my back all the time. Like, I've always had a back problem, but it seemed to have got a lot worse just before I found out I was pregnant. I was having burning in my back and all things like that. So yeah, I think I did know I was pregnant before I even found out. So yeah. By the way, if you notice that I'm looking down a lot, it's because I've got my Mrs. Hinch's book here and I've written all my questions down in there. So it's having my phone here and having to keep unlock the screen. I've just wrote them down in the book, so apologies for if I keep looking down to read questions. Okay, next question. Did you enjoy being pregnant? Oh, did I enjoy being pregnant? Do you know what? I think I did. Yeah, I think I did. Some parts of it, you know, like I've just said about the eating thing, that was a big problem for me all the way through pregnancy, a real big problem. One day, and Gavin can vouch for this one, I was really, really hungry one day and I decided to just get like a microwave lasagna. I started making the lasagna and I thought, I am really looking forward to eating this. And then I made it, sat down, thought, oh yeah, I'm so hungry. Started eating it and it literally wouldn't go down. I was like, all I want to do is eat my lasagna. And I burst into tears because I couldn't eat my lasagna. And that day, oh gosh, honestly, like the amount of times that I've made a meal and then be like, I can't eat it. Like, it was so upsetting. So yeah, I think that was one thing that I didn't like about being pregnant. As for sickness, like I didn't really have much sickness, which was lucky. You know, that's a really lucky thing for me because I didn't really suffer. I suffered with it at the start, but nothing major apart from just gagging a lot. I used to just I'd be walking down the street and I'd gag. Also as well, I used to sing, do my act around places, and the one time I think I was working with Gav at this point at a holiday park, and it was my turn to do my act on the night time, and I was gagging that much that when I was singing I had to put put chewing gum in my mouth, and I hate that, but I had to sing with chewing gum in my mouth because I was gagging that much while singing, and it actually helped me. And like I told the audience of things, but yeah, so the gagging, the not being able to eat, and also I did suffer with my pelvis quite a lot as well. That is still a problem now. Like you'll notice sometimes if I've been walking and then I come back and I sit down on the sofa for a long time, I get up and I'm limping everywhere. I think I was doing it tonight actually, and sometimes I'm limping without even realising. But yeah, I did suffer with my pelvis quite a lot, and that is still a problem now. Yeah, but other than that, yeah, I really did enjoy being pregnant, especially the kicks and, you know, things like that, and watching them grow and the scans and that was lovely. Next question. Did I take any vitamins? I did take vitamins, yes, and they are called Leanne.K. No, Pregnant Care? Oh, something like that. They're like a big green vitamin, and you just take one vitamin each day, and it's got lots of healthy bits in to help your baby develop and things like that. So yes, I did take a vitamin. How old were you when you had your first child? I was 27 when I had Layla, fell pregnant at 27 and had Layla at 27 because it was all in the same year. So yeah, 27. Okay, most exciting milestones. This one came up earlier actually, about the milestones, but for me the most exciting one is definitely when they start walking. When you see your child and the whole time they're trying to stand up and trying to take those steps, I think that first time that they actually take a step and start to move forward, it is so exciting. In fact, I think I screamed when she first did it. Now with this one, I'd like to say as well, please don't worry. Like, every child is different and every child will do it at their own pace. You know, I'm not going to lie, I'm a first time parent and I was constantly comparing Layla to other children because Layla was quite a late developer in that. So she didn't crawl till about, how old when she started crawling? I'm sure she was about 10, 11 months when she started crawling. She was quite late. And walking, she didn't walk until just after her first birthday. Compared to other children, some of the children, that's quite late. But then again, I've got friends where their little ones didn't walk until like a year and a half. So yeah, I just wouldn't worry about that. But for me, walking was definitely my favourite milestone. And also as well, when they start taking those first words, that's also a good one as well, when they start talking. But then they don't stop. As we've now discovered with Layla, when she's completely talks in your ear the whole time, especially when you lay in bed. Walking and talking, definitely. Next question. Something having a child has taught me. That is such a good question. I think the main thing would definitely be you've got to have a lot of patience. If you're not a patient person in the first place, then you'll definitely not be patient when you've had a child. Like I was saying earlier, I just think, you know, you've got to have so much patience with them. You know, especially when they're little, you know, they can't tell you these things if they can't talk. They get frustrated because they want to go somewhere and they can't move. So I just think patience definitely is one thing that I've definitely learned being a parent now. I would say I'm quite a patient person anyway, depending on the situation. So that is definitely something having a child has taught me. Like I said last time as well, you worry all the time, like constantly. You worry about everything. You worry about, have they eaten enough? Why haven't they weed in the last 50 minutes? Why haven't they done a poo in like a day? Like, yeah, I think you worry a lot. So I think that's another thing that has taught me, is that you do worry a lot as a parent. But I think that the most thing would be to get that patience. Learn to be patient. If you can train yourself to be patient, that's a good thing. Oh, and another thing as well is get your sleep in before you even have a child, because although Layla is a really good sleeper, it's still one of those that you will never have a line again in your whole life, unless your partner goes, you can go for a line today. But other than that, like, your child wakes you up like early, and you know, you might be lucky, you might have a child that sleeps all the way through. Layla has slept through since probably 6 months old, but before that she didn't sleep at all. And I think that's another thing, is make sure you get your sleep in. Definitely. So yeah, I hope those helped. So the next question is 5 hospital bag must-haves. I think that is such a good question. Now, I've written my 5 down, which I think you should have in your hospital bag. My first one is some comfy pants and a nice comfy nightie. So comfy pants, oh my god, you need them, especially if you've had a C-section. Big pants. I don't think I've ever worn non-big pants since having a baby, actually. They are the best thing ever, especially when you're in that hospital bed and you just feel so uncomfortable. So yeah, big pants and a nice comfy nightie that makes you feel homely. I think that's a great idea. Make sure you take your phone charger with you. This might not sound like the biggest thing, like, oh, you need to take your charger, but honestly, there is going to be so many people wanting to get in touch with you to see whether you've had the baby or how you're doing in labour. And if your phone runs out of battery, not only are people going to be like, oh, they're going to be panicking, especially if they know that you know you've not had the baby yet. So I definitely say make sure you put that charger in your bag and keep in touch with people as much as you can. You know, if you're really in pain and you're at full labour, then don't worry about it too much. But I would definitely, especially if you want to take pictures and things after as well, so always make sure, I think, that you've got charger with you in your bag. I also put snacks. I mean, who doesn't love snacks? And I know the one night I was in hospital bed and I'd been induced this night and I wasn't in labour or anything, and in the middle of the night I was so hungry, and obviously at 2:30 in the morning you can't, you know, the people don't come round offering you food or toast or things like that, so snacks is definitely a good idea to put in your bag. Definitely. So yeah, definitely. Right then, okay, and the next two are, I put a mini fan. Now, you know, like the handheld fans that you can get, I think that would be amazing, because I don't know if I think I did do this, but I think my battery ran out. Now, I'm one of these that can't sleep without a fan, so if you're like me, I would definitely recommend a hand fan. And also we know that hospitals can get very, very stuffy as well, and it's great, especially if you're feeling a bit hot and flustered, get that hand fan and just waft it around. And the final thing that I have put in as well is don't forget those sanitary pads. You're gonna need them, and they're gonna need to be big like boats, because trust me, you are gonna need them afterwards. Honestly, if you can get one the size of the surfboard, do it. So yeah, they're a must have sanitary pads, definitely. And I don't just mean the thin sanitary pads, I mean the good big thick boat sanitary pads the size of a shoe. So yeah, make sure that's one of your things that you put in your bag as well. So they're my 5 must-haves. Next question, did you find out baby's gender? We did find out baby's gender, and I knew I was going to find out baby's gender when I first found out I was pregnant, and I said to Gavin, we've got to find out what we're having, and to be honest, he agreed with me, so that was good. There's no way I would go through a whole pregnancy without finding out a gender. I just couldn't do it. Even if it was one of them things where they brought the envelope home and said you wouldn't be able to look at it, I'd definitely look at it when Gavin was out the room. I just wouldn't be able to wait. So yeah, we did find out. Obviously we had a little girl. Next question. Did I have a birth plan? Yes, I did. Not that it helped. Because we all know I ended up having an emergency C-section. I really wanted a water birth to start off with, but because I had gestational diabetes, that was something I wasn't allowed anyway, because when you've got that, you have to be hooked up to machines just so they can check your bloods and things like that. So unfortunately I wouldn't have been able to do that, and I really wanted a natural birth, but I didn't got a plan. So yeah, I did have one, but even if you do make one, I wouldn't worry too much about it, because you never know what's going to happen. How many children do you want? That's a great question. Now, when we first had Layla, I was like, yeah, I'm not having any more. I was like, no, can't do that again. I want my sleep, blah, 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 blah. And now I'm like, I want another baby. So yeah, I think 2 would be the limit for us, if we was to have another one. And I think Layla she'd be such a good big sister. I mean, even with her dollies now, if she thinks they're crying, she's like, shh. Like, she tells them to shh and like looks after them and things. So yeah, I think 2 would be a limit if we was to have another one, but I don't think I'd like to go any more than 2. I don't know about Gavin, but me, definitely just 2. So the last 2 questions. The first one is, can you feel your scar? Yes, I can. If I move in a certain way, it pulls and it hurts. I'm not gonna lie, like even after 2 years, it hurts. If I go to move in a certain way in bed, sometimes I can feel it pulling. Also as well, it can get very itchy and it's so annoying. And I've asked some friends that have had C-sections, is this the same? And yes, they've told me that it does still itch. It gets dry, and although you can't see the scar very much anymore, like it's kind of disappeared, yeah, it does get itchy, and I can feel it as well, especially like I said, if I've been lay for a long time in a certain position and I move, it does tug, it does pull. So yeah, I can. And the final question that I have is, do I have any advice for any other mothers or wannabe mothers? No, I don't have any advice, because like I've said in the past, at the end of the day, your experience is your experience. I could sit here and be like, do this, do that, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. But at the end of the day, it's your child, it's your life, it's your baby, you know. So no, I really don't have any advice for anybody, and I just think that you should take it as it comes. You should just experience it, take it all in, and see for yourselves, to be honest with you. I mean, you know, the things that I've said to you today are literally what my experience has been, and you know, my experience has been completely different to other people's experience. You know, I've had people say to me in the past, you should do it this way, you should do it this way. But for me, your child is your child. You do what you want to do with your child. In a way, some advice is nice, like, but I I think, at the end of the day, if you don't want to do something with your child, don't do it. If you want to do something with your child, do it. Like, your child is your child at the end of the day, and that's what I think. So I don't think I would want to give any advice out to anybody. Just take it as it is. Basically. Okay, so before I end the vlog, I've actually got a couple of questions that people have asked me to ask you guys, and I think this is a really nice idea, because if you have interacted with me and you have seen my video, I'd like to know your opinions on it as well. So I think these questions are really, really good. So the first question for you guys is, that has actually come from somebody else. Did you feel pressure if you were a young mom, and did you feel shaded because you're a young mom? Like, if you are a young parent, how have you felt about it, and have you had any shade or anything like that? So let me know and let others know. That'd be amazing. Let me know in the comments, or if you don't want to, let me know in the comments. If you want to go over to my Instagram, feel free to DM me on there and let me know if you want to chat to me that way. You don't have to put it on here if you don't want to. And the next one is, I'd like to know if you've had any bad sickness, would you let us know? And a warning to others how bad sickness can actually get in pregnancy. Like I said, I've been lucky enough to not actually suffer with sickness, but if you have suffered with it, then I'd like to, find out your experiences down below, and what did you do to help yourself, and is there anything out there that can actually help your sickness and things like that? Did you take any tablets? Or because I know people can do that. So if you suffer with sickness, let me know, and let us know down below in the comments, and let us know your experience with it. The final question as well also is, how did you feel having a second baby? So if you had more than one baby or a third baby, did you find your experience was different to having the first baby? Was you more scared the second time around because you knew what was coming, or anything like that? So if you've had second babies or third babies, fourth babies, how did you find your experience? Was it different to your first one? And my final question is actually for Gavin. No, Gavin is actually here, so do you want to come and join me?
No.
Let's pull you up a chair, shall we, dear?
Okay.
We might have to move over a little bit. I can't move over a little bit. Hi.
Hello.
Right, so the final question was actually sent in for you.
Oh.
So we're going to ask you this question. I think this is actually such a good question. And obviously, being a parent, a father, I think this is such a great question to ask, because a lot of people that I follow on Instagram and Facebook and things are actually moms, not dads.
Okay.
I've learned a lot about being a mom, about, a female parent. So I think it's nice to know your side of things as well. So the final question for you, how did you prepare for becoming a dad, and how did you balance this with helping the expectant mother? That is such a good question.
I think it's really hard for dads, and I'm not saying it's harder for dads. It's hard for us for a different reason. Obviously, we don't have to go through the pain and the labour and everything you do, but we have this. Well, me personally, I have this massive just sense of overwhelming worry about you. Whilst she was pregnant, because I can see how much pain you was in at some points. I can see how comfortable you were at some points, and with all that going on, there's literally nothing as a partner that I could do for you, because that's heartbreaking. So if you're ill, I could go to the doctor and pick up a prescription. I could go to a chemist and get you something. But with pregnancy sickness, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
With you being uncomfortable because the baby's at a funny angle, I can't just just get your stomach and go, can you just move over? I can't do any of that. So yeah, that's in my experience, that was the worst things to sort of deal with. As for preparing to become a dad, right? Okay, right, I'm not gonna lie. I spent the first 5 months of Leanne's pregnancy just petrified. Just literally but the thing is, I worry about different things to what Leanne worries about. Like, Leanne was worried about the birth and how it was going to be in the hospital room, and I was worrying about, can we afford this child? Do
we have a roof over our head?
Yeah, that's it. Because I remember there were points where, whilst Leanne was pregnant, there was points where we was having to move flats because the flat we were in at the time would have been way too small for a baby. I think you've covered that in another video. Yeah,
and not only that as well, our time was up on the flat.
Yes, it was only a 6-month let on the flat. It was a winter let, and then Leanne fell pregnant, and it was just literally
2 months before.
2 months before that let. We planned it so well, and the thing is with that, Leanne, because she was heavily pregnant towards the point where we were moving, it became quite difficult, because then, not that this I'm saying is a bad thing, but I had to do most things then, and because I was gigging and working at the same time, I found it really hard to balance the two. So it can be a bit of a shock to the system. As for becoming a dad, and everything that sort of happens in between, like after all the pregnancy and everything, once you're in that room, the hardest thing for me, again, was just watching you in pain and watching how uncomfortable you were, and the only thing I could do for you was nip out and get you a potato or something. Whatever it is you wanted. Like from the, because they're doing food in the hospital, I was like, actually have a potato.
Jack a potato.
But luckily there was a McDonald's nearby as well, so I
Yeah.
got some chips. The best thing about the whole thing is that the moment Layla was born, it was like, I was the first person she saw. Yeah, I was especially special for me. Because I remember... It was, I think Leanne again talked about this once before, but she came out, Leanne had hold of my hand, squeezing as tight as she could, and we heard this cry, and it was all quite sort of emotional, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And Leanne was like, is she alright, is she alright? And I was, oh, it's really funny. Leanne
She
was
got
like,
all the fingers in one toes.
she was like, has she got all the fingers? I was like, yes, she's got one head. I was like, yes, Leanne. And then when she realised that Layla was absolutely fine, she went, right, forget it, am I okay?
Am I alright?
Like, are they going to close me up?
Yeah, I kept asking them, didn't I? I kept saying, am I okay? Is everything alright with me? Am I okay?
So I mean, I was going to leave you open. I'll end by saying the best thing in the whole time was when she first looked at me, because it was like this sort of like she could barely literally open her eyes. She was just like that, and then when she did, it's almost like the nurses and doctors moved out the way so she could see me first because I had her in my arm. And I was just like, I just burst into tears then, didn't I?
And no, she don't leave us alone.
No, not sure stop flaming staring at me.
Thank you for that question, and thank you for answering.
It's alright.
Alright, thank you, you can go now. See ya.
I'm gonna go for it.
Alright then.
Squeeze.
See you in a bit.
See ya.
Thank you.
Back in my area.
I really enjoyed that. I don't know if you did. A couple of people said to me they absolutely love how open I am and how I just talk to you about it. I'm not afraid to say. But yeah, I really hope that you enjoyed that as much as I did. If you did enjoy it, don't forget to like and comment and subscribe. And also, please do leave those comments down below. I'd love to see, you know, your reactions, what you think, your experiences as well. Like I said, don't forget to go to Instagram as well. If you want to talk to me privately, you can always DM me on there. So yeah, don't forget to go over to Instagram and talk to me on there as well if you want to. But I am going to leave this video here. I hope you really enjoyed it, and I will see you very soon for another video. Take care of yourselves. Hopefully all this madness is over very shortly and we can all get back to a little bit of normality. But for now, take care. I'll see you very soon for another video. Thank you. Bye.